Welcome to our Click to Science webinar. Really excited about visiting with all of you today and talking today about STEM, professional development in STEM, and just some different strategies that are out there for being able to work with youth in the area of science, technology, engineering, and math. So again, this is Holly Carr, Project Manager with Click to Science. And I'd like to have our other presenter, Melissa, introduce herself.
Hello, I'm Melissa Fenton, and I am the project coordinator for Click to Science, and we are so happy you could make time in your busy summer schedules with full-day programming and camps and everything that's going on to learn more about how to combat summer learning loss through one of the Click to Science skills, sparking interest in STEM. So welcome, everybody.
So as you see on the screen, we have a lot of different resources and tools that we want you to take advantage of. We have the website here. If you've not been on the website recently, we want to invite you to get on there and give us your feedback, what you see on Click to Science, what you're using in your program, and let us know how that's growing and going. We also have our email address. If you have any questions or if there's anything you want to, we can help you with, please contact us at that email. We also have our YouTube site on here, and we'd love for you to check out the videos on there. And again, our Twitter address is on there too. If you haven't followed us on Twitter, we want to invite you to please follow us. We'll be tweeting out different great aspects of our conversation today. And we have the Twitter master for Click to Science is online, Danielle. So everybody say hello to Danielle virtually. So thank you so much again for being with us today. If you have any questions at any time, comments, please feel free to chat in the chat box. We really like hearing from you. So sparking interest in STEM. Today, the skill we're going to talk about is sparking interest in STEM. We want to talk about some specific strategies that you use already to spark interest in youth in STEM. It's really an important skill in that we want to get kids excited, engaged, listening, participating in what we're doing with STEM. And a great way to engage youth is to spark their interest with a STEM activity, with STEM learning. So that's what we're going to discuss a little bit more today. Sparking interest in STEM is also a really good strategy to put in your toolbox in combating summer learning loss. Because again, it gets kids engaged in thinking about and being actively in a role in the area of STEM. Before we go any further about sparking interest, we want to briefly discuss one great tool for sparking interest, and that's Click to Science and the Click to Science website.
So if anyone has any questions about Click to Science, if you haven't explored the site or have been using the resources, or you're wondering about anything new that's coming up, please type those into the chat box and we'll get to those questions as soon as we can. But I will just give you a very brief overview of kind of what Click to Science is and what the resources we have to offer are. So Click to Science is designed for site directors, site coordinators, trainers, and coaches who work with staff in after-school and other informal science programs. The professional development resources on the site will help your frontline staff build their confidence and skills in facilitating STEM learning. So if you work with youth after school, in a 4-H club, at a museum, or in some other program, we hope you'll be ready to share your ideas about how to spark youth interest in STEM activities. And I see we do have a question that came up. We are recording the webinar, and so on our Click to Science website, we have an events page that's included in all of our MailChimp messages, or you can go to the site and start exploring that. And there is a section titled On Demand Webinars. And that is where the link to this webinar will be held, so you can watch it again and look through the slides as needed and gain all of those great sparking interest strategies that your peers are going to share with you today. So thanks for your question. So one reason to register for the Click to Science site, as I just mentioned, is the MailChimp messages. So you have to be a registered user to get those messages and links to our webinars, interesting new information, about new blogs or new skills that we'll be filming, and videos that we'll be adding, as well as being able to download all of the activities and take part in our conversations. So if you've visited the website before, then you may know that we launched in January of 2014 and focused our effort last year creating videos, professional development resources, and learning modules for you to use. So this year we're working on new video learning modules, a mobile site just for your frontline staff, and looking for ways to make the site more useful for you. In fact, there is a link on the site right now where you can apply to be one of the locations we film at this year. So if you have a great STEM program and want to see yourself featured on the Click to Science site, please go there and apply to be one of our filming sites. So this is why it's so important to register for the site so that you don't miss great professional development opportunities like these, get access to the activities to use in your programs, and join our community of after-school professionals. So if you want to use the learning modules as part of your professional development activities, people need to register for the site to post comments there. And if they want to use one of the activities that you've led in a training or a meeting, then you will need to go on the site to download that activity as well. So I see that we have another question in our chat box. Our program has a coach in training program. Are these resources suitable for them too? Yes, they are absolutely suitable for them. We have all of our coaching resources can be used to coach your staff or to do peer coaching between two frontline staff members. These resources are appropriate for use with teens as teachers in that model. So feel free to explore the resources, and if you have any other further questions, feel free to contact Holly or I. We answer that Click to Science email, and we'd be happy to help you out.
Yeah, great questions. Keep them coming. We definitely want to hear from you. So please continue to make questions and comments in the chat box. We want this to be interactive. We want to hear from you, and we want to, that's how we learn, and we really want to be a part of helping and a tool and resource for you in your program. So let's dive in. Let's talk about what are strategies you use to spark interest in STEM. Take a few minutes to type in the chat box and with some of your ideas, what are some strategies you use to spark interest in STEM? Again, take a few minutes to type in what are some strategies that you use currently to spark interest in STEM. Perhaps you've seen something in a program, or you've seen somebody else, you've seen something at a conference or something that you thought, wow, that's a great strategy to spark interest in STEM. So we want to hear from you. So there is some really good ones here, relating it to real life. That's a really good one. Youth, we found in research that youth want to know that what they're doing is real world relevant and a part of their life. So that's a very good one. Having STEM materials available, that's great. Yeah, having STEM materials available, and also materials that they can access is easily accessible for youth. That's very helpful to spark interest in STEM. Great one here too. Bring in guests who use STEM in their world and careers, engineers and medical personnel. You know, I want to encourage you when you're sparking interest in STEM, that is a really good skill to be able to bring it down to the real world and what you're doing. And I encourage you to take advantage of having, some of those nurses, engineers, medical personnel, electricians, whoever you can get to come in, have them be a part of that activity, because then the youth really see that connection to what they're doing is really relevant in the real world. Yeah, make it fun, keeping that sense of humor. That's so important. Kids need to see that STEM is fun. Great strategies. So some other strategies that really help in sparking interest in STEM especially when you're talking about summer learning loss. I wanted to mention some strategies. These are from the Wallace Foundation regarding some summer learning loss. And I'd like to get your comments on what you think of some of these. So as you're listening, please make sure and put your comments and questions in the chat box, because we definitely want this to be engaging and interactive on your part, and it's great to learn from each other. So these are just a few of the strategies, and a lot of them you've already mentioned, so you're all on top of it. So getting with community partners is one of the strategies that the Wallace Foundation recommends for summer learning loss. Making the most of trips to the zoo, when you go on a nature walk in a park, how can you turn that into something that's sparking more interest in youth in STEM? Or what are some other resources that your partners have that you could take advantage of? I really honestly want to encourage you that no partner is too small to be able to come in and talk about their careers and how what you're doing in STEM aligns to what they're doing in their real world activities. Another important strategy that the Wallace Foundation recommends on summer learning loss is high quality professional development. And I can think of one high quality resource that I would strongly recommend to combat summer learning loss, and that's Click to Science. So I hope that we can be a part of your summer learning loss initiative in your program. Another strategy that the Wallace Foundation recommends is make it STEAM. Always, as you're doing STEM, is there a way to weave that arts part into it? I've seen some great strategies in that in this last 6 months when I've had opportunity to be able to film at a lot of different sites. So I've seen some great ways that the A or the arts in STEAM is being woven into all the different activities that youth are being asked to do. And we'd love to hear some of your suggestions. What are some ways that you weave the arts into STEM? So if you have some suggestions on that, please type them in the chat box. One of the things that I saw is can they make a collage about what what you're doing in your science programming? What about math? Can they make a masterpiece of what they learned in your math programming? Maybe they can draw a picture or something that relates that math concept back. And, again, finding that niche and what gets them involved in learning about STEM.
So I apologize for having to skip around on the slides. They got a bit out of order, so thanks for bearing with us through that. We are going to go ahead and watch a video from the Click to Science site that shows a frontline staff member, Diane, working with a group of youth. So please watch carefully for how Diane initially sparks interest and then continues supporting that excitement throughout the activity. While you watch this video, think about these 4 questions, and I will have these also on the next slide after the video. What strategies does Diane use to spark interest? What did you like about the strategies? And what made them successful? And what do you think you could do differently to help spark interest in STEM? So let me go ahead and get this video pulled up and we will watch it together. And then I hope you will share your thoughts to those 4 questions in the chat pods that we pull up after this video.
Multiple senses, express theories, share ideas, and draw.
Sorry about that.
So the first thing we're going to do in our bubble mixture is in front of you. What do you all have in front of you? Yeast.
Watches Diane, with the assistance of teen teachers, uses multiple strategies during the activity to spark the interest of youth and encourage their engagement. You'll see her provide opportunities for youth to use multiple senses, express theories, share ideas, and draw on the element of surprise to keep youth engaged.
What do we use yeast for? Bread. Very good. First, I want you to look at the yeast and tell me what it looks like. What does it look like, Chad?
Cookie crumbs.
Cookie crumbs, that's a good one. Sand is another good one. Now go ahead and touch the yeast and see what it feels like.
It doesn't stick to you.
Feels like sand. Oh, doesn't stick to you. How could we find out what will happen if we add water to our yeast?
Put water in
You think we could find out by actually putting water in it? Should we do that?
Yes.
Well, let's do it. Caden, what do you think I have in my bottle?
Tap water.
Tap water. Victoria? Tap water? Okay, so we've got 4 votes for tap water. Take a sniff. What do you think? You don't know? I'm going to give you a hint. I find this in my medicine cabinet at home. Hydrogen peroxide. Who's ever heard of hydrogen peroxide? So, if we have yeast and water in here, just like you guys did, and we add it to the hydrogen peroxide and the soap, what do you think will happen?
I think the bubbles are gonna come up and like come out. Explode or something. See?
Okay, pull the funnel out.
Sometimes. Wait, let's touch it. Can we touch
Well,
it?
what do you think will happen? Will your finger fall off?
No.
No. Go ahead and touch it.
And there's still more.
Thank you so much for bearing with us through those technical issues and letting us know what was going on. So I'm going to go ahead and pull up these chat pods that have the topics for each of the questions. And please share your thoughts from the video about what you would do differently, some of the strategies that you noticed Diane using, what strategies you liked the best, and also why these strategies were successful. So if you see those chat pods on your screen, please share your thoughts in there. Thank you so much. We're going to give you just a minute to all type down your thoughts, and then we will hop back on to discuss it. Thank you all for sharing your great ideas. This is great. I totally agree with Leah that what you would do something differently is probably leave the substance in the bottle, not having it just in a plastic bottle. We talked about that in another workshop that we did that, sometimes kids want to grab and drink things, and that might be a way to prevent that, is not putting it in that unmarked bottle. But some of the strategies Diane used to spark interest, engaging their senses, sight, touch, smell, asking them questions, and connecting their questions to what was going on in the activity. Those are all great observations. Those strategies that you listed and the ones that you liked are all wonderful strategies as well to spark interest in STEM. Especially Benjamin's. She prepared and had done the experiment beforehand, so she knew it would work. That's so important when we want to lead a quality STEM activity, is to, if we have time, practice the activity. That way we can anticipate some questions, some ways to keep youth engaged in the learning. And then the strategies were successful because, yes, there's experiential learning. They could guess what would happen, and then got to test it out by adding all of the materials together. They were, touching the materials and thinking, whoa, what would happen if we added these cookie crumb substances together? So great job, everyone, in sharing your thoughts on the video. So I'm going to go ahead and move these pods, and then we are going to get to our interactive parts of our webinar. So you're going to have to bear with us a little bit. This is the first time we've used a webcam and done an experiment live on camera. So if you notice anything strange, please just type it in the chat box. You guys are being a great audience today. But we'll go ahead and get to our balloon skewer activity.
Great. So again, while Melissa's getting us kind of arranged technology-wise and getting our camera set up, we hope that you would join with us in doing this. We really are excited about the opportunity of this being interactive. So if you have a balloon and a skewer, and of course you need some oil, we hope that you would do this activity with us. One of the things that I wanted to comment while we're getting set up is, I don't know if you noticed this when Diane was doing the video, I really liked the part when she had them actually, they were using their senses with the yeast. And I think possibly some of us, who've done a lot of cooking or whatever, we have a lot of experience with yeast, but not everybody has, And I think sometimes we take it for granted that everybody knows what yeast is and how it would react. And she really took it down to a level of them touching and feeling and smelling and describing. And that is a really good skill for helping them to be able to learn STEM skills and also to develop their own explanations of the activity that's taking place. I know that in true science, when we're working with an experiment, that's one of the first things we're asked to do when we're doing experimentations in actual science, is to be able to give us all the different properties of a substance that we're working with. So that's a great skill that she really was able to bring out in a fun, engaging way with you. Okay, so are you ready for some great balloon skewering? So let's get ready to do this activity together. Again, we hope that this is an activity that you can use in your program. And we hope that this is something that you'll be able to use that would grab the interest of youth and be able to keep them engaged and might be a great way to introduce a topic in the area of STEM. So we're going to use the balloon skewer activity, and we want you to go step by step through this, but I know it seems a little bit hard to believe, but we're actually going to put a skewer through a balloon. So I hope your interest is sparked. So my lovely assistant here, Melissa, we want to take you step by step through this. So first of all, you're going to need a skewer, and Melissa has one as an example here. And you're going to need some cooking oil. So we have some vegetable oil from Nebraska. Good quality Nebraska vegetable oil that Melissa's going to show you. She's just going to put a little bit on the end there. And I'm going to be the science teacher in the room. Why would we do this? So type some of your comments in the chat box. Why would we need to put a little bit of vegetable oil? What do you think that's going to do? Would we need to do that? Do we need to? What is the vegetable oil on the skewer going to do? So that's the next step. And then we are going to blow up our balloon, which probably we should have done first, but we're going to So we're going to blow up our balloon. So we have a balloon here with just Melissa's wonderful Nebraska air inside. So, and then tie a knot at the end of the balloon. One of the things
Sorry, I can't do this.
One of the things I'd encourage you to do is kind of leave a little bit of give at the end of that balloon. Might help you out a little bit better. And that's another thing I'd like to ask your typing there. Why would it be good to have a little bit of, I don't know what the correct scientific term is, but maybe a little bit of skin around there. Why is that good? Why would that be important for this to be a successful activity? And then you have your skewer, and if you haven't dipped it in vegetable oil, dip the end of vegetable oil. Of course, that's going to act as a lubricant, which you already knew that. And then you're going to carefully place that sharpened tip on the skewer on the thick end of the balloon and kind of wiggle it and turn it going to actually stick it through the balloons. And we've muted the speakers because, you know, you want to do this maybe a couple times. Hopefully I have a couple balloons because you might pop one. We might pop one. We haven't so far.
Stick it through the knot. So that open spot that's in the knot, you want to try to wiggle it through there. And so you just got to twist and turn it. And
great. We'll see. Perfect.
Well, and it did go through the side part of that balloon. So
see. Yeah. So great. So we hope that you're doing that too. So push that skewer through the balloon. If you see in there, you can see it inside there. You're just kind of twisting it through. And when we blew up this balloon, we tried to leave, again, a little bit of, where's our camera? There's a little bit of skin on the other end, and that's kind of important for this to be successful too, because you want to have a little bit of give there at the other end. So you're using just a gentle pressure and a little twisting motion, and then you're going to, and then because we're from Nebraska, we have switched to red.
Red, our Husker red
our
balloon.
Husker red balloon.
And so once you get the skewer to the very end of the balloon, I think you can kind of see it poking through at the top there. If I'm in front of the red camera, right? Sorry.
There you go.
So you can see a little point there. You are going to magically pop it through the end of that balloon. And look at that. I just put a skewer through the balloon.
Without it popping. That would be exciting. I'd like to hear your input on that. I hope you've got a chance to do this with us because it's fun. And if you haven't, this would be a great activity for you to do at home on your own, for parties, for friends, with your children or whatever. So it's a great, gets kids engaged. Have your youth at your program. Give it a try. Balloons, and they can reuse the skewer over and over again. And so it's relatively cheap and inexpensive.
And we give you some hints, but of course, when you're doing this with youth, you don't want to tell them why you're sticking it through the, thicker part of the latex or non-latex, I guess, depending on what type of balloon you have, through the thicker part of the balloon, or that you're putting it, through the center of the knot. You just want to show them, look at this. I put a skewer all the way through a balloon.
It's one of the great ways to spark interest too is asking the kids, give a guess prediction. Okay, I'm going to put it, or we're all going to today put a skewer through a balloon. You think we can do it without popping the balloon? So,
and then we have an example of what happens when you leave it too long afterwards. It deflates. So you don't want to do these way ahead of time and then leave them sitting around because air will eventually escape them. So just a helpful hint.
Right. Some of the things that might be interesting to you to talk to youth about is, why doesn't the balloon pop? What does the oil do? What does the balloon do around the end? You can kind of see it sort of turning in a little bit. And why is that? What's going on there? But again, I hope you remember this is just to get kids engaged and excited. We are not asking you to be physics experts and be able to explain, friction and the boundaries and how we're creating a cohesive surface. I mean, we really just want this to be an exciting event that gets kids, youth engaged. And when you start asking those kind of questions, that's a great time for you to be able to say, I don't know the answer to that, but let's find out together. Why do you think? Why do you think that the balloon doesn't pop? Why do you think that we had to put oil in it? Would it work without oil? What is going on here at the end that's keeping the air from going out? Why did our balloon, after a few minutes, why did it end up like this? So great questions to get you thinking, and I want you to know you have our permission to not have any of those answers because we want the kids to be able to figure out those things for themselves. So.
And you do have a link to this activity. It's from Steve Spangler's Science, so that's up today in the web links pod that says links to today's content. And I see Aaliyah did have a question if we've tried it without the oil. I personally have not, but our coworker Sandra, who's part of the Click to Science team, has, and she said it was successful without the oil. So I guess we can try it both ways and see how it would work out. We're running out of time today to be able to do the experiment more times, but I would encourage you to try it on your own and maybe with your youth.
And Eileen, we're going to try and show you as best as we can. You asked if you could see the end. Oh, you did? Oh, yep. Okay. I'm sorry. I must have missed that. There's kind of the end of the we can. I'm going to show you a little bit about.
And then it goes straight through the middle of the knot at the bottom. So that's probably your best way with this blue one. I didn't get it all the way through the knot at the bottom. I don't know if you can see that. Let me see. There's a little stick part poking through there, but it was close enough that it's still thick enough that I think it would have been okay.
Right.
All right, so we're going to stop sharing our webcam now, even though we love you seeing our smiling faces on this Wednesday afternoon, but we're going to get back to our slides.
So I hope you enjoyed that activity. I hope that you can see the way that this could be something that you could work with youth in sparking their interest and getting them engaged in STEM. I think it would be a great activity again, and when they start asking questions, which they will, you're asking questions, so they're going to ask questions. It's a great time to say, you have to go research that and tell us tomorrow. How come that this worked, or why do we need oil, or why did whatever. So
I'm going to share with you a few facts about summer learning loss. So if you're trying to either start a summer program or you're wanting to get more STEM involved in your summer programming, this are some great facts. The link to these is also in the links to today's content pod at the upper right of the screen. And I'm just going to kind of read through these that are facts that you can use to inform people about the importance of summer learning and how to prevent summer learning loss. So all young people experience learning loss when they do not engage in educational activities during the summer. So research spanning 100 years shows that students typically score lower on standardized tests at the end of summer vacation than they do on the same tests at the beginning of the summer. So that's a great statistic to help support the importance of summer learning loss in your out-of-school time programs. Most students lose about 2 months of grade level equivalency in mathematical computation skills over the summer months. Low-income students also lose more than 2 months in reading achievement, despite the fact that their middle-class peers make slight gains. So, what that tells me is that youth are reading during the summer, but it is very important to continue reading and being involved in educational activities. So more than half of the achievement gap between lower and higher income youth can be explained by unequal access to summer learning opportunities. So as a result, low income youth are less likely to graduate from high school or enter college. And I think that's a very powerful statistic that we need to have access to quality out of school time programs in the summer with our youth. So if you're working with a lower income population, summer learning is so important to keep your programs engaging, include STEM, include literacy, include arts, the STEAM concepts, and just keep that summer learning going. And children lose more than academic knowledge over the summer. Most children gain weight more rapidly when they are out of school during summer break. So there should be some activity in your summer learning programs as well. So you can use these sparking interest strategies and the activity that you saw today to help combat that summer learning loss and keep youth engaged in their learning over the summer, in addition to having some time for some fun play and some reading.
So let's talk a little bit today about what can you do, because again, we want to hear from you. Especially those of you who haven't typed into the chat box, we'd like to hear from some of you, so we want to hear your input. What can you do? So I'm hoping that you got a chance to do the activity today, but think about that activity that we did. How could we use that activity to spark interest in you? How could we use that activity as the beginning of another activity to get them excited and engaged in what we're doing? I'd like you to take a few minutes here and just type up some different strategies that you think we could use that activity we did today where we put a skewer through the balloon. What are some ways you think you could use that activity to help you spark interest in you? So please take a minute to type those ideas into the chat box. Using activities like the balloon, put the skewer through the balloon, using those kind of activities are great ways to spark interest in you. But we want to hear from you. What are some other strategies that you can use to spark interest in you? So give me an example of some different strategies you can do to spark interest in you.
And it looks like we have lots of people typing, so keep putting your ideas in, and then as soon as they start coming through, we can have a little discussion about what everyone's ideas are and maybe give you some ideas of our own as well.
I think this picture too shows a great example of a way that you can spark interest in youth with just some simple equipment, and all they're doing is maybe out in a park or out in a grassy field. And they're trying to, see what kids can find out in the real world using some, again, simple equipment. So we have Leah here commented, I teach a babysitting basics class. I could teach my future babysitters this fun trick to show their little charges. That would be great. Analysis of any subject in which we can manipulate an object, even in poetry. That's a great idea.
So an idea that I have heard in some of my conference presentations or activities that we've led is having a story. So having youth be an inventor, or they are creating a product, or perhaps, they are part of this engineering firm and they're coming up with a design to solve an issue with a newspaper table. So they need to make the strongest newspaper table to sell to, this group of people. Anything that can get them really engaged and involved and excited about what they're doing as part of that activity will help spark interest in STEM and keep them learning, all day if you're doing that activity for the afternoon in your summer programs. And Christine, this webinar will be available online on the Click to Science site on the events page. We have an on-demand webinar section, and this recording will be there for you. So thank you for your question.
So I think those are some great strategies. Again, if you have some, we'd love to hear from you. Please type them into the chat box so we can share with everybody some strategies you've used to spark interest. I think another a lot of you do a lot of summer programming, and I think making the most out of those programming opportunities, even going to the swimming pool, going to the zoo, going to the park. What can you do to implement STEM in there? What are some ways that you can spark interest? Is there a challenge at the swimming pool where we're going to count to 20, we're going to take 20 steps in the pool? I mean, is there different things you can do to be able to spark that interest in some of those community adventures that you're going on? But again, using this picture as an example, if you're going to the park, can they all have magnifying glasses and be looking for different bugs? What is the park habitat? What is that like? And talk about habitat and environment, and that's a great way to link to your youth the importance of conservation. And so I think there's a lot of good sparking interest that you can do there. Another good resource that we haven't mentioned for sparking interest is youth themselves. What would they come up with? What would be some ideas or suggestions they would have to spark interest? Maybe one of them could be in charge of doing an activity then the next day that they start out that sparks interest, that gets kids engaged. Maybe they could write a story or draw a picture that would spark the interest for what you're doing that morning in their math time or in their reading or literacy time. So there's a lot of great resources too that people are, a lot of good suggestions for strategies that people are typing into the chat box. So Cindy says a series that is based on exploration and discovery gives them a chance to answer some of their own natural questions. That'd be a great way to start a sparking interest. Everybody comes up with their own questions. Find opportunities to showcase what they've learned and add some competition. Yeah, that'd be great. Again, just helping them when they ask questions. I want to encourage you. Janet writes a really good point here. They would like to ask questions, encourage them to ask and explore. But also just remember, you don't need to provide the answer to their questions. We want them to come up with the answer themselves, but you can help them find out where they could find different solutions. So great stuff here. Cooking activities, yes, those are always really good. Great way to introduce yeast. Excellent.
It looks like we have a few more discussion points coming in, so we'll wait for those, and then we will kind of wrap up our portion of the webinar and give you a chance to ask any questions that you have. Once again, the webinar will be available, so you can go back and watch it again in case you missed any of the strategies or wanted to watch me try to stick a skewer through the balloon in front of a webcam again. I'm sure that was very enjoyable for everybody. So it looks like Cindy, shares cooking is great for math skills. Totally agree. I even struggle sometimes to calculate my fractions when I'm doubling a recipe, so probably should practice that a little bit more.
That'd be a great challenge too. If you're like me, I can never find the 1/3 cup measure in my house. I don't know where they go, but so it's learning, if I don't have this 1/3 and I need to do 1/3, or if you don't have a half cup measure and you only have a 1/4 cup, it's a great way for kids. Cooking is a great way to teach math skills. And there's always usually a great product at the end that shows the successful use of math skills. So.
And you have plenty of time in a summer program or a camp to actually cook something from start to finish. Sometimes that can be a challenge just in an after-school program when your session is only half an hour or maybe an hour. But in a summer program, you can have the entire afternoon just to devote to exploring baking and making something, and how different ingredients can create different reactions. Try baking biscuits, one with baking soda and one with baking powder. The baking soda ones taste terrible. I will let you know from experience, but those are ways to engage kids in STEM through cooking. Great ideas.
And if you're making brownies and you need some taste testers, Melissa and I volunteer ourselves to anything with chocolate that you want to share with us. So with that note, we want to say thank you so much. Thank you for taking the time out of your busy schedule. But more importantly, I just want to say personally thank you for what you're doing for youth. No matter what you're doing in the area of STEM, in the area of STEAM, no matter what you're doing, it's making an impact on youth, and we just appreciate all that you're helping youth grow and learn. And we want to be one of the tools in your back pocket that you can pull out to make sure that STEM learning is taking place. So again, we have a lot of different resources. Check out our website. Check out our website and our email, and check us out on YouTube. We'd love to, those of you, especially those of you making, Cindy, when you're making cooking, we want to see those pictures on Twitter. So tweet us back, and we would love to see those of you who do the Balloon Skewer Activity, tweet us out some pictures of that. That would be great for us to share. And thanks again so much for all of your time. Oh, we're also on Facebook and Pinterest. Thank you, Danielle. Like and follow us, and post comments. We want to hear from you. We really do. No comment will go unanswered. So please let us know how you're using Click, what you like about Click, what you're doing in your programs is just so interesting to us. So please don't let this be the end of a conversation.
Thank you so much for joining us today. Once again, if you have any questions about how to use Click to Science to develop, your frontline staff, or how you might be able to use Click to Science, if you are a frontline staff member and looking to improve your skills, please email us, and Holly and I will respond to you and help you through that process. So thanks again so much for joining us. Please type any questions in the chat box if you have any more. We are going to turn off the microphone and we'll end the meeting fairly shortly.